Hey everyone, it's Game Fruit Pulp, and welcome back to another episode of Building Toronto. Today we're going to be looking at one of the builds that is finally been completed, and as well, you probably already noticed something pretty cool, I guess, for lack of a better word, about the world, or I guess my client in general, and that's that I have finally installed shaders, and well, the city looks a lot better with it, to say the least. The glass building looks a little bit funky, but everything else that we've built looks a lot better, and the just the ambient effects of the shaders pack really make it look quite good. So we have quite a lot done today. We're not actually going to be looking at everything I have done. We're only going to be looking at one specific build, which has some things on it that shouldn't be there still, but that's okay. We'll get rid of these, and that's it for that. But we're going to be looking at the Dominion Public Building, which is a building that spans an entire city block. So it's a pretty large building, which is why it took so long. I didn't want to do another recording of Building Toronto until this building was finished. This was actually built by StarBound, one of the players on the server, the other co-owner. He's been helping me out on this project a little bit, and he is the one that built this building here. So the interior is not complete yet, and the roof is not yet fully completed. But I thought that most of it was done and enough of it was done that we could feature it in a video. And then if I ever do a video on just all the kind of small detail work that is being done that I'm not really focusing on, then I'll probably showcase the roof and all that completed stuff again. But anyways, here I'll do a quick fly around of the video of the building, not of the video, a quick fly around of the building. As you can see, it is mostly sandstone. Don't need these two things anymore, so I'll get rid of these as well. Oh, I guess we did need those. I guess those were stars things, so I'm going to put that back in a chest. Give me a second. Let me just toss all these back in there. Okay. So, as I was saying, the building, as you can see, is mostly sandstone, and we will get into a little bit of info about the building. This is one of the one of the older builds in Toronto. Obviously not one of the originals. It is a larger build, so there were things built before it. But I believe that the Hockey Hall of Fame on the corner is one of those builds that was built before it. But as you can see, the back is more flat, and then there's more detail on the front. But aside from that, that's pretty much all for the fly around. There's nothing overly unique about the building that I should point out just through the fly around. There's a little bit of history with it, so we'll go through that. It is a 5-story neoclassical style building, which you kind of can point out from the look. By looking at it, you can see that it's 5 stories. Or I guess it looks like 4 stories, but I guess it is 5. Maybe there's a basement. And it is more limestone-like in real life. It's hard for a lot of these older builds because they are this limestone type of stuff that's quite common from this era in North American builds, but there isn't really a Minecraft block that represents it very well. And so because of that, it's difficult to pick exactly what block. And we kind of struggled for a little bit to try and determine how we were going to build all these buildings that have this style of block. Here's another one, and there's the Hockey Hall of Fame. And we decided ultimately to go with sandstone, which is a little bit too yellowish, not really a brown enough, but there was no better option, so that's what we figured we should go with. So the building took quite a while to build. Construction started in 1926, and it wasn't completed until 1935. And if you think about that era and the kind of construction material or construction vehicles that were in that era, you can kind of understand why this took so long. This building is obviously giant. It is the entire expanse of a city block, and it is 5 stories tall, and it's made of heavy limestone. And so obviously you can understand the amount of time it took to get the building completed. And it was built for the government of Canada. So it was built by the federal government, commissioned by the federal government, and it has been owned by the federal government up until earlier this year in 2017. In January or February, the federal government actually sold this building, which I believe they were not even using. I think they were renting it out to other people, but they sold ownership of the building to an investment company which owns a hotel in the city's capital, or in the country's capital of Ottawa. So nothing really too overly interesting about this building, aside from the fact that it is one of the original buildings in the city. What you'll see as we continue and build more of the city is that a lot of the buildings that are sort of this height are older than they were. Very builds that were done at the turn of the not the turn of the century, but in between the First World War and the Second World War, that were sort of built to try and move Toronto into a world-class city. Now, looking at these builds today, they don't seem all that impressive, but if you go back to the time that they were built, you would see that they are you would find that they were more cutting edge at the time. They were more impressive at the time, and this was definitely one of those builds where this would be, I believe, in the middle of the Great Depression, and so the federal government wants to start some sort of work projects to get people who are unemployed from the Great Depression back to work. And so this is a project that they would come up with, something like this, where obviously this would just be filled with government offices or really whatever is able to fill it. And that wasn't probably the priority for the government. It was to get some sort of works project to get some of those labor workers back to work, because a lot of them lost their jobs through the Great Depression. And so what you'll find is a lot of countries throughout the world during the Great Depression, the United States did this as well, tried to have a lot of government-run projects to build government buildings as a way to get people working again, get people some money and some jobs. And so this is probably an example of that. I would have to go back and look at the actual policies surrounding this build, which I didn't do, to see if that's the exact reason why this was built. But you'll find that a lot of buildings in this style, of this size, in the area were probably commissioned by the government or by hotels. And so there was really three main builders in Toronto: hotels, the government, and banks. And so what you'll see in this area is called Old Toronto. It's the original core of the city. It is most of those three groups of industry are going to be the ones that you're going to find, and which that's reflected in what we have right now. We have 1, 2, 3 buildings that were commissioned by banks. We have this one by the government, and then we have this one on the corner, which is originally a bank, and now it's sort of like a museum type thing in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But that's really all that there is to this video. We have a ton of other stuff being built that I don't want to show you guys yet. So because of that, I'm going to try and fly up here and get a view that doesn't show you that part. But just to give you an overall idea of the size of this building, here, we can do it like this. Yeah, that should be good. So you can see I did do some work on the roads as well, and that kind of good stuff there. But there's an overall view of the building. If you want to compare that to an aerial view of the Toronto Public, or sorry, not the Toronto Public Building, the Dominion Public Building, you can feel free to do that yourself. I'll include a link to either the Google map of this aerial view or a street view of the building so you can compare. But aside from that, that's going to be everything. If you're new to the channel or the series and you enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're a returning viewer, be sure to hit the like button and share the channel with some of your friends so that we can keep on growing. We've got a ton of exciting stuff going, and I'm almost completely prepped for next Friday's video already. So there will be a Building Toronto next Friday as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that. If you only like my Building Toronto videos, hopefully you like everything. But if you don't, watch for the next Building Toronto coming out next week. Aside from that, this has been Building Toronto. Like I said, my name is Game Fruit Pulp, and I will catch you guys all Monday. Have a good one.